Oliver waits with a start. He feels way better than he did when he lost consciousness. He looks around the room that he's in. It's the same room. I mean, Gnarly is there, except Gnarly is unconscious on the floor. Oliver has no clue what happened, why he feels so much better than he did. He doesn't really feel like he has any great new insights either. Um, yeah, it turns out there are reasons that he normally would not open himself to the psychic maelstrom. But he feels good. He feels good now. Um, he checks Gnarly. Gnarly's not dead. He's just unconscious for some reason. Doesn't particularly matter, right? To Oliver at this point for some reason. Um, but Oliver realizes that obviously he can't do this alone. And also, obviously, he can't necessarily trust the people that he has here. He needs to go and he needs to gather what he has gathered. Um, he's gathered these connections, but he thinks that they all need to be in the same place. They all need to get together. And who comes to mind for him? Like, one is Preen. Preen, he knows, right, uh, was captured, right, by Bill. He suspects, right, that she's being held at his gang's camp to the north. He needs to gather White, right, who is also either there or perhaps right at his garage, but most likely is probably also again in Bill's camp. He also needs to gather Joe's girl, the the psychic, who he was supposed to get a device from, but he didn't. That's what he needs to do, and he needs to gather them all together. And he knows somehow, right, this is going to help him to confront Bill to in some way, right? Uh, free Fleece's landing. Not sure how, but he knows that this is what would work. So, what does he do? Well, I think it's fair to say. So he is here. He is in some kind of shed. It looks like, um, I'm going to say that he isn't currently being guarded. Right? Instead, just he is in effect locked in this shack, right? With Gnarly. So he needs to break his way out. Well, I think that the breaking his way out is something that's going to be fairly easy for him to do. I mean, he is Savvyhead. He's good with stuff, right? So I think it makes sense for him to be able to just break out. I don't think that's going to be a problem, right? Right. So he manages to like jimmy the lock in effect and get out. I'm curious what time of day it is. So is it daylight right now? The answer is no, right? So it is nighttime, right? So I think he knows where he needs to get right now. He needs to get to Joe's girl, and he really needs some kind of vehicle to get him there. Fortunately, Bill's gang just came to town, and they have vehicles all around. Right, so I think that he is going to try and steal right, one of these vehicles and drive it. I think that that is his plan. Now, this is something that is going to be hard to do, so I think what he's going to do is read a situation, maybe? Read a sitch, rather. I think that makes some degree of sense. So let's go ahead and do that. Right, so he's going to read the sitch here. That'd be a 7 plus 2 is a 9, so he gets to say so. Okay, so what is okay? So what is the best way to do this? Right. So I think that he does locate one vehicle that appears to not be being very well guarded. It's not. It's a fairly basic vehicle. Like I'm thinking like a sedan, right? So something very very basic. Uh, but nonetheless, it is there. It is available. He thinks that he could probably easily get it running without too much problem. So I think that that is what he is planning to do. Now, I think other people have not quite noticed that he's snuck out yet. It is dark. They weren't for some reason being they were not under guard. Maybe people thought that he was dead. I don't know, or maybe they had other things that are going on. In any case, right, he is going to get in this vehicle and he's going to drive off. Now, I assume here when he drives off, this is probably going to catch people's attention, but it might not. It might not. He might get really lucky. Maybe. So that's a good question. Does he? Does somebody notice him? Maybe, maybe not. Answer is no. No, nobody notices. Right. So he hops in and he drives. Right. And he is heading to the west because he's going to try to pick up Joe's girl first. Right. So I think that he drives to the west. He finds Joe's girl. Right. The nomadic psychic. Right. Who well, that was the phrase, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that's right. Right, so this nomadic psychic, uh, yeah, so who had taken a hollow projector from Ick. That's right. That's right. Right. So he goes to pick her up. So the question is she willing to come with him? I think that does he have to convince her? Would be a fair question. Now we're not trying to seduce, manipulate, bluff, fast talk, or lie to anybody. I think what it boils down to is that he says, "Look, you're weird. I'm kind of weird. I think we need to take out Phil's gang or do something to them." He's not really sure what at this point. Um, his brain's still a little bit fried. And so, well, we've got to go. We have to do this. And you know what? I think she's into that. I think she is. She's weird. She likes being weird. He's weird. Sure, let's do this thing, right? So she hops in the car with him. Right? Are they being followed? I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I think that he got away. Now the thing is, though, the two of them do need now. They need to go to Bill's camp because Bill's camp is in all likelihood where White and Preen are. Right. So the two of them are uh, people they're going to have to pick up. So I think they're going to have to do some sneaking around here, right? So I think it makes sense to me. Would this be to seize by force? You're not really fighting your way free, you're fighting somebody else's way free. But I think that that would fit better than pretty much anything else that I have here. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's the best I can do. Um, okay. So again, I think that I want to. I'm going to read a sitch here as well. That's bad. Okay, six. Okay. Okay, what should we be on the lookout for? That's a reasonable question to ask. So what should we be on the lookout for? And I'm going to go ahead and just use, let's see. We should be on the lookout for a plot arc. Oh, okay. I think we should be on the lookout for the tank. I think that's the thing we need to be on the lookout for. Okay. Because I think that it is nearing some kind of completion. Right, so I think that's what we're going to look for. We're going to look for where we believe the tank would be. And I think it's going to be fairly obvious. So this camp is not enormous. I mean, yes, it's enough for like 100 people. But at the same time, 100 people settlement, it's not huge, right? Right. So I think we can identify like where it is they probably would have this thing because it's either outside or it's in a fairly large building, right? So I think that that's it. And because Oliver has been to White's garage, he knows that's not where it is, right? The garage, like this garage, he was doing work there, and this was like off to the west. That's not. He didn't see a tank. Right? He would have seen the tank if that's where it was, and he didn't. Right. So I think that he knows it's here somewhere, and I think they are able to identify where it is. And sensibly, White is going to be somewhere close to it. Right. So I think that they do manage, under the cover of night, to sneak through the camp, to find where that tank is. And we know that Bill has just attacked, right, Fleece's Landing, and that much of his gang is there, and I think that is helping them. right? So they managed to find, I assume that white is here. That seems very likely, right? So I'm just going to have that happen because I want to move forward, right? Right, so sun needed batteries. All right, so they find white here, and things are nearing completion. And I think white is here. There are probably some other people around, but I think they do manage to like catch his attention. And like we need to get preen, and we need to come up with a plan. Now, White, of course, him being more trusted by Bill, knows where Preen is. He thinks he can probably get her out as well. So I think that that is going to happen. So at this point, right? So Bill is going to go off while we just have our other two, Joe's girl and um, Oliver, just kind of waiting. White comes back with Bill. No, not with Bill. Twist. No, comes back with Preen. Right, so we have the four of us here, and we really need some kind of plan for what we're going to do. Uh, what is really important to Oliver, and I think also weirdly enough to White, we need to free Fleece's Landing somehow. Right? It's not immediately clear how we're going to do that. Right? At which point, White looks over at the tank that he is literally working on right now. Says, "Well, I have an idea." We're going to take the tank. Now Oliver says, "Well, I thought you were sabotaging it." Yeah, yeah, but I'm going to say perhaps the way that it was sabotaged is something that requires some kind of active trigger. So it's not just like, oh, the thing doesn't work or something like that, or that it is just going to, I don't know, explode or something like that. No, I don't think that's what's happening. Instead, this is something that would have to be triggered by White at some point, right? So he knows enough to prevent this from happening. So it is in fact usable as long as whatever the thing is not triggered. So I think that that is what's going on here. This seems reasonable. This seems reasonable. So I think that that is what we're going to do. So the four of us, um, like White releases his workers, says, "Okay, it's been a good night. It's late. Everybody go." Right. And everybody leaves. The four of us uh, here now. The question is that I think there's probably still some work to do because I want like Oliver to contribute in some fashion. And after all, this is something he's good at, right? So let's go ahead and have him use that savvy head ability, right, of things speak. So he wants to figure out here. Now we're going to do things speak. This is plus weird. I roll a 7. 7 plus 3 would be a 10. Um, so I get to ask 3 questions. So I want to know what has been done most recently with this or to this, right? And what he can figure out is they haven't actually finished the thing yet. So he's asking, well, what's wrong with it? How might we fix it? So Oliver very quickly identifies there's only a couple steps left. It's not going to take them long to finish the thing and at least make it workable, right? So I think that that is something else. The third question you can ask would be, who handled this last before me? Who made this? What strong emotions have been most recently nearby this? What words have been said most recently nearby this? Um, Words. I think that's it. So I don't know what is the content, right, of these words. History, right? So I think some of the workers, right, out of White's hearing, nonetheless, were talking some about Bill and how he came to um, head up this gang. I think that that's what it is. Right, so they were talking about this, and this is history that I'm going to say that White himself right? Doesn't know, doesn't particularly care about, to be honest. Therefore, never bothered learning. But it turns out this is where, right, we learned that Bill, in fact, was somebody with some engineering skill. Um, but something happened. What is the event, right, that happened? Pose. Oh, I've got it. Okay. Right. So I think that Bill was working on something for some kind of leader, but then he himself was part of, in effect, a mutiny. They overthrew, right, the gang leader before he took over. Right. So, and I think that's something that he's very vigilant about. Right. So he doesn't want this kind of thing that he did, right, that to happen to him as well. Right. So I think that might explain some of like, okay, why is the nobody's willing to turn on this guy? Well, he's very careful. He's very careful about making sure that he keeps the loyal people and the people that aren't loyal, he gets rid of rather quickly. He just missed White. Okay. All right. So I think that that is something that we've learned, which actually suggests that Bill has a certain level of paranoia about him, and that is something that potentially we can use. So now we need to know where Bill is right now. Well, I think it makes sense to me that um, yeah, I think this is something that it makes sense Joe's girl could do. Joe's girl is the one that has some kind of psychic ability, this connection to the psychic maelstrom, and I think that she does kind of tune into it and can tell us where Bill is. And I think it makes sense to me. That Bill is currently in Fleece's Landing. That he is in effect he is kind of considering this his jewel at the moment, and as he is trying to take control, right, of that area, that he really feels a need to personally be there and be involved, right, with that process. So that's where he is. Now, currently, middle of the night, he's probably sleeping. But that's where he is right now. So, I think we also need to ask Preen. So, Preen, do you think that your gang has actually abandoned you? Or might this be a front they're putting on? Now, I think it's more likely that they have actually abandoned her. But I think we want to ask her, see what she thinks is true of the situation. Uh, I got a no, right? So I think the way that I'm imagining the question was asked, I'm not asking as yes or no questions and trying to. So it's designed as an yes or no question, Professor. So I think the question was really has I'm taking the no to be negative for us, right? Which then means that that they are not in fact still loyal to Preen. They have actually gone over to the dark side, right? So that is not going to be a path forward for us. Okay? Capiche? I think we're all good. So in that case, I think we're all going to pile into this tank that uh, the White built, Oliver helped finish, and we're going to drive it to Fleece's Landing. And we're going to confront Bill. We're going to pull him out of bed. I think that's really what's going to happen, right? So here's the question. Right? As the tank leaves, so is there enough of Bill's gang here that somebody's going to try to chase us? That's an interesting question, isn't it? The answer's no. Nobody's going to try to chase us. All right. I guess they assume, right, that White was involved here, so I guess, I don't know. They don't want to face the thing anyway. Okay. Right, so that's what's happening. We drive back to Fleece's Landing. Okay. And I think here we need to, I mean, do we know where he would be? I mean, if so, we could just like drive through the side of the building because that's kind of cool. Let's be honest. I think we probably have a reasonable guess where he is, and I think Joe's girl would be capable of confirming that, right? So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. that she knows where he is with some level of precision, right? So that we can drive through the wall. And Bill is there with a couple of his guards. I'm guessing the guards are quite surprised. I mean, not totally surprised because tanks are not quiet. Let's be perfectly honest. Right, so they heard it coming. So that's a question. So what did they do? Right. So that's yeah, yeah. So okay, what did they do in response to this? Seven create. So what would they have created? Create something unexpected about history. Create unexpected history. Now, the suits here also have meaning with the oracles I'm using. I'm drawing cards, just my one camera wasn't working very well, so you can't see them. So create mystical, but the unexpected is physical, as is the history is also physical. I don't know. I haven't got anything there. So I think what we need. So the question is, what type of confrontation are we going to do here? So how is Bill going to react to this? So one thing I'm wondering, right? So we've established that Bill is paranoid. Did Bill figure out that White was actually going to double cross him? Right. So even more precisely, does does Bill know about the sabotage? So that's an interesting question, and I'm 50-50 on it. The answer is yes, he does. Okay, that makes things more interesting. Okay, so it turns out Bill is not actually particularly surprised. His guards are, but Bill, keeps things kind of close. He doesn't share a whole lot, right? So he's not that shocked by what has just happened, right? Um, so I think that he says, yeah, right. So at this point, I'm imagining the scene, right? So Tank has just come through the wall, right? The building is holding together enough, right, that it hasn't just totally collapsed, right, on Bill and company. So he's still alive. He's still in reasonable health. And he is talking to this tank. And I believe he's going to say, do you want to come out here? And then he holds up, right? He has, right, some kind of remote or something like that. White recognizes this immediately. Says, ah, okay, it makes sense he would know this. He does have some technological knowledge, doesn't he? Right, so it becomes immediately obvious that Bill was aware of this, and now they are in effect, a booby-trapped um, tank, and Bill's the one holding the trigger. So this isn't great. Well, would you like to come out and talk? Okay. I think we'll we'll definitely get out, at the very least. Right. So I think when that happens, or we do all get out, and what it boils down to is this: Oliver wants Oliver wants them gone. Bill doesn't want to leave. So how are we going to work something out between the two of us? I don't know that we really can work something out. So I think when it comes down to it, we're going to have to um, fight him off. So, how are we going to do this? What is the best way? So what we need here, I think it would make sense. Say, well, we need some kind of contest or something between Bill and Oliver, right? That suggest that where they agree, right? That if right, Oliver wins, then Bill leaves. And I think Bill is actually willing to go along with this at this point because let's be honest, right? Some things just aren't worth it. And Fleece's landing is being a real pain, right? Yeah, it's valuable, but it's not that valuable, I suppose. Right? As long as he can keep everybody scared of him, fine, right? But if people are going to go steal his tank and try to use it against him, may not be worth it, right? So fine, fine. I mean, he may be willing to leave at this point, but not without a fight. Right? After all, if he beats Oliver, I mean, it makes sense that he would stay. Right. So how do we want to do this? The question is, I mean, part of me wants to make this like single combat or something like that. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna do single combat. Got it? Single combat, and we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. It's just gonna be fisticuffs. That's it. Right? Your goal, right, is to knock the other one out. That's it. Right. So whoever gets knocked out first loses and leaves. It's that straightforward. That's what we're gonna do. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. Bill, I think, is a fairly major villain, so I'm going to say that he has a clock that's very much like Oliver's. Right. So it's the six slices. And I see you have the 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. There we go. So I mean, now fists are only going to typically do one damage. So that's what we're doing here. Let me pull up my make sure that I have the all the correct moves here. I guess we're really doing this is just single combat. There it is. No armor or anything like that. And we're also going to use the suffer harm moves. Okay. So here we go. So they fight. And no quarters, exchange harm. First roll we roll plus hard. The 0. 9. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. So I'm going to say he decides to do, because he can do either plus 1 harm or minus 1 harm to himself. I think he's going to do, uh, he'll take the minus 1 harm, right? So he suffers little harm, right? And then we'll shade in one of Bill's. Now, he's taking 0 harm himself, but nonetheless, it would be suffering harm. So this would be a plus 0. He rolled a 9, which means he loses his footing, he loses his grip on whatever he's holding, he loses track of someone or something he's attending to, or he misses noticing something important. I think it makes sense that he'd miss noticing something important. So Oliver's not a good fighter. He's not, right? So he does manage to like connect right with the Bill here, while he himself manages to kind of dodge out of the way of Bill's swing. But at the same time, what did he lose track of that's important? I think he's not really paying that much attention to what the guards are doing. Right? The guards are there, after all. I don't think the guards are getting involved with the one-on-one fight that's happening, but I think there is something happening off to the side that we may come back to. All right. So, next one. After exchange harm, do you prefer to end the fight now or fight on? If both of you prefer to end the fight now, it ends. If both of you prefer to fight on, it continues. You must make the move again. If one of you prefers to end and the other prefers to fight on, the former must choose. That is, the one trying to end the fight has to either flee, submit, or fight on after all. I mean, I think Oliver's in it to win it. Right? Bill, I don't know. I'm not so sure. Right? Right. So at this point, he's doing okay. I'm thinking he's probably going to fight on. Okay, so we continue. That's a 6. 6 is bad. So I mean, the opponent chooses one against you. Well, I think that Bill is going to take 1 harm, but do 2 harm. All right. Oh, Okay, so it took two, okay, that's total 13. Um, gosh. So 13 on the suffer harm move is what we're looking at now. So either we just knocked Oliver out, right? Or it's worse than it seemed. He takes an additional harm. I think he takes an additional harm. It's so bad. Oliver is going to die. I mean, that's in all likelihood what's happening here. All right, so let's see what happens next. Oh, it's a four. It's a four. A four on that single combat. That's really bad. Okay. So I mean, they would exchange one harm again, and then I think Bill is going to go ahead and do an extra harm. Which that means that now Oliver is at the point where he is going to be degrading. He's not going to degrade fast enough that it's going to take him out of the fight, but he did just take two more harm. And suffer harm, let's roll. Four plus this is six. Oh, okay. That means no. I think that I'm not going to do anything. Okay. All right. So with a six, what I could have done, I could have had like some special effect, but that would reduce harm. I want to keep moving with harm. Okay. So what's happening now? I think they're both still in the fight. Right now, as far as Bill is concerned, he's winning. As far as Oliver's concerned, he doesn't have anything to lose, right? So we may as well keep going. Well, yeah, okay. Oliver's dead. Oliver takes two harm. Bill takes one. So Bill is in very rough shape. uh, right. So yeah, Oliver is totally down and out. He's been just beaten. Well, at the same time, what he hadn't noticed. Right. Yeah, I think that Oliver is actually literally dead at this point. That like he took too many hits to the head, and Bill's done with him. Right. He wanted to collect him. Clearly, what's going to happen? He's gone. And what he also hadn't noticed was the guards had, in effect, taken control of all of his friends as well. So the end of the story, I think we've come to, is not a happy one. Um, if there is one thing that's true in Apocalypse World, it's that things break. And the same is true not only of devices, cars, weapons, people, communities. And that's the end. There's not going to be a sequel. Not going to be a sequel to this one. No. Well, in any case, what I was doing with this series, I sure hope this wasn't the first episode you watched, or you'd be extremely confused. All right, so just a reminder then, what I had been doing with the series, I was following this structure, which I have linked. I think it's Balagan, I think was the name of the blog. That is linked in the description. But this was originally designed by Katrina Ostrander. It's an 8 session plus session zero structure for doing a 3 act story structure. This was the final battle. Collecting all of the allies, traveling right to the final destination, confronting the villain. This is what we did. And it doesn't always go well. I mean, that's it. I do want to offer some kind of final thoughts on this because this was my first time playing Apocalypse World. Oh, okay, not strictly speaking. I did try like a session off camera by myself before. So this is my first time playing it on camera. Um, in my first like I had more than like two sessions kind of deal. I liked it. I liked it. I think that I think it's a cool structure, but it's also one of those things where like after you've played some Powered by the Apocalypse games, um, like you get used to the structure, right? You know some of the rhythm of it and how it works. I'm not necessarily very good at it, but nonetheless, you understand the structure of it. So while this was in many ways the originator of that method of that structure, um, it didn't feel new to me because I'd already done like Monster of the Week. I have videos here on this channel just as one example, or also playing things like Ironsworn, Starforged, the Sean Tompkin stuff, which very much draws from the same structure as well, right? So in that sense, it really didn't feel totally new, but I do definitely like some elements of it. In terms of the story structure, I really like. Um, and part of this experiment also was kind of separating out some of the story decisions from the play decisions, right? So that in a sense, I know where I'm going story wise rather than having to make that up on the fly. The idea being that then I could be more immersed in the moment to moment. And I think that worked reasonably well, right? Actually, I hadn't done anything like that before, but I do kind of like the way that ended up playing out. So, those are some of my closing thoughts as this closes out the series. Uh, Thank you for watching, and we'll see what I decide to do next. Who knows? I did buy this, like the way that I got Apocalypse World was there was a humble bundle like way a while ago that had a bunch of stuff in it, including Apocalypse World and several Powered by the Apocalypse games and some other stuff as well. So I kind of think I might be doing some of these shorter series as I'm trying out some of these other systems. So yeah, see what I decide to do. Right. In the meantime, again, thank you for tuning in, and this is Prof E signing off.